everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have actually a really fun video that I asked over on my Instagram for you guys to give me your favorite tropes, and I'm going to give you a book recommendation based on that trope. Now, you've pretty much heard of most of these books. I tried to throw in books that maybe I haven't talked about in quite a while, or some of my all-time favorites of each trope. I got this idea from Sam Reads a Little. She did a part 1 and part 2, which I'll have her videos linked in the description box below. She was one of the first ones I saw do this. I think it was back at the end of March, and I've been wanting to do it, so I thought, you know what, why not do it? Now, I'm not going to break it up into parts. I have 35 book recommendations for you. This may be a long video. I'm not going to get too into exactly what the books are about because that's going to take forever. I have 35 romance recommendations based on your favorite tropes. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Now, I will say that some people put the same Marriage in Trouble, Friends to Lovers. There was multiples of that, right? I am just going to do one book for all of that because a lot of people really love that. So let's just go ahead and jump in. The first trope that people dropped in that little question box on my Instagram was Marriage in Trouble. Now, I feel like a lot of things could be for Marriage in Trouble. It could be they're divorced and now they're trying to get back together. And that's the one I'm going to do. And that is For Lucy by Julie Ann. So this book made me cry. It made Sam cry. It made so many other people cry, right? Now, I was going to do Before I Let Go by Candy Ryan, which I also love that one. That is an amazing, amazing Marriage in Trouble romance. But I wanted to do this one because I feel like it's one of Julie Ann's underrated romances and an underrated Marriage in Trouble romance. So this one is extremely emotional. You have this couple that breaks up because of a loss of a child, and you see only from the hero's perspective in this book, but I personally love that. It is extremely emotional, extremely angsty, not groveling, but he's pining after her, trying to get her back, trying to fix their, marriage. And I love this. Highly recommend. The next one I have is Pining Heroes. I did do a whole video of Pining Heroes, and I'll link that in the cards. But the one that I'm going to choose is actually a fun one. It's just a fun Pining Hero, and that's 3 Count by Nikki Castle. This is her special edition with Jameson, who is the cover model. Oh my God, she had the inspiration for Aiden. He is the perfect Aiden, the way he is, the way he acts and stuff like that. Absolutely love him. But this is a pining hero because our female character, Dani, does not want a relationship. She is free spirit. She wants to do what she wants, right? And her and Aiden have this intense lust for each other, but they also have this intense connection. So he's trying to get her to stay with him and feel something for him. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. Aiden is such a sweetheart. I love him so much, but Dani is a badass. And yeah, love that one. I feel like that's an underrated pining hero that sometimes people forget. The next one is Let's Make a Deal. So this is, why don't we have a mutual benefit thing? And I was what can I, what can I do for this one? And this is actually a new release. And it's 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. So this is technically a novella in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And I think that you can read this before reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is the first full-length book. It's technically, the novella is 1.5, but I think you can read it before. The characters kind of overlap a little bit. Not overlap in the way that they're mentioned, but it just gives you a little bit kind of glimpse into the world, the fantasy world. But basically with this one, our female character, she is trying to cure a disease that's killing off the town and stuff, especially her sister, and it's been happening for quite a while. She's lost family members to it, and she's basically what I would consider a scientist. And so she goes to this vampire veil and is I need your blood, I think it can help us. And so she's well, let's make a deal. You give me a vial of your blood, I'll give you a rose, or I'll bring you a present. And I really enjoyed this novella. I read this on my Patreon reading sprints because it was a novella I stayed on for 2.5 hours and read it, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good romance. It was actually you get this really good romance that you're this kind of took me by surprise for a novella. So highly would recommend this. I love this whole let's make a deal thing where they're forced together and they really just want the deal. Well, she just really wants his blood because she wants to help all these people. So really enjoyed this one. Next one, Teach Me. The book I have for the Teach Me, which is teach me about sex or teach me how to be, sexy or anything like that. I have a historical, The Lady Gets Lucky. This is one of my favorite historicals and I want to go back and reread it. Kit Christopher is so amazing. I love him so much. But we have Alice, who is a wallflower. She's tired of being a wallflower. She wants to do what she wants. So she goes to Christopher, or Kit, is teach me everything you know about seduction. I am going to learn from you and you're going to teach me everything so I can go do my own thing. I'm tired of being a wallflower. I don't want to wait for a husband, which is really big in historicals. And loved it. So this could be lessons in seduction, teach me, anything like that. Highly recommend this one. Even if you don't read historicals, I think you would really, really love this one. Joanna Shupe is amazing when writing Gilded Age. I know McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay hadn't really read historicals, and she read this one and loved it. So I'm so happy for that. And yeah, highly recommend this one. The next trope that you guys dropped was age gap. So many people wanted age gap. And listen, I just posted a whole age gap romance recommendations video on Wednesday. You're seeing this on Friday, but it's the video previous to this one. And I have like a list of that, okay? But one that I recently just read is Tempt, which is mentioned in that video by Melanie Harlow. This is a Hello Lovely box exclusive edition, but I want all the editions because I love this. Now, along with big age gap, it's a 15-year age gap. He's 47, she's 32, but also he is her ex-boyfriend's dad. And she's the wedding planner for her ex-boyfriend. And his dad comes to the wedding, and they have like stuff that happened at the wedding. It's so good. So good. I loved it so much. It's forbidden, angsty because they're not supposed to be together. They FaceTime and call each other because they don't even live in the same state. Highly recommend. She's also super curvy heroine, which I enjoyed that she was very comfortable and confident in her body. And he worshipped that. Love it, love it, love it. I gotta speed it up. Okay. Single Dad. I could have done a million books for Single Dad. The one that I'm gonna choose that I recently read was Eleanor and Gray by Brittany Terry. This one I read because of Nikki from Nikki and Bookland. We picked each other's books for a vlog. I think in December. Was that in December? I felt like that was like just yesterday, but it was so long ago. I love this book. I thought he's super grumpy. So of course, grumpy, I wouldn't say she's sunshine, but it's also second chance. They've known each other in the past. He has 2 daughters. She comes in to try and help, and I loved this book. I think that, you know, he has to kind of go back to his roots with his kids and like trying to mend that relationship too. And I personally really enjoyed it. Highly recommend this one if you haven't read it. The next one, Student Teacher. I know who put this in there, okay? I know who put this in my little question box, okay? And it's hard. This person has read all the Student Teacher books that I think they've read them all. But I'm trying to pick one that I don't think they've read, and that's Gothicana by Rune X. I don't think they've read this one. If not, I know they have the book. I'll just say that. But this one is amazing Student Teacher. It has a little bit of paranormal, a little fantastical elements. It's a like prep school type thing, college. She is older, so she's technically a freshman, but she's like would be considered a junior, like her age. She has the thing with one of the professors. A lot of secrets come out. There is a lot of random things going on. It's very much a fall read, but you can read it anytime. Very like spooky vibes, very atmospheric. I love this book. Absolutely love this book. I want to read more by Rune X, but I love this book and I would highly recommend it. The next one is Stepdad. I have not read a stepdad romance. I don't think I've read a stepdad romance. Like, I really tried to think. So I did not technically read this book, but I know some friends that have read it and thought it was a really, really good time. And that's Power by Cassandra Robbins. All I know is that I think it was a stepdad. When I Googled it, this is what came up. So I'm so sorry. I don't have an actual like stepdad romance. I mean, the only thing I could think of is like Credence because she goes to live with her step uncle. Like, that's as close as I think I can get. But we'll do Power too. So sorry about that one, but I didn't really have like a specific one. The next one I have is Dad's Best Friend, and that's What Was Meant to Be by QB Tyler. Love this one. This is her dad's best friend, but also he has been gone for the past 3 years. So they had like a little thing when she was 18. He left. He does Doctors Without Borders basically, and he leaves for 3 years, and he gets an invitation to her wedding to someone else, and he comes back and is like, not happening. You're not going to marry him. So he's like pulling her away. There's cheating. So if you don't like cheating, but I didn't mind the cheating in here, but she's his like goddaughter, like he's her godfather and her dad's best friend. And that becomes a huge plot point in the book, but oh my God, so spicy. QB Tyler is queen of taboo and forbiddenness. The next trope, meeting through letters. So this one I didn't want to do just like a strict letters one, okay? Because I know that there's a lot of books, but I recently read Bringing Down the Stars by Emma Scott. So this one is actually, I wouldn't say it's love triangle-y. Me and Sam Buddy read this together. We agree that it's not really love triangle-y. I mean, I guess you could consider it. That's a stretch. But basically, we have 2 best friends. They're both guys. One has come from a lot of money. One has not come from a lot of money. And one doesn't have a lot of money. He's at a coffee shop, and this girl walks in, and he's like, oh my God, I love her. But then his best friend walks in, and it's just, he's the more outgoing one, introduces, and then they start dating, right? Well, our other guy, the male character who you get his perspective, who she does end up with, but it's in the second book technically, he writes poetry. That's what he does. He writes poetry, right? And he and his best friend go off into the military, and that's where the letters come in. So I'm recommending the first book, but it's really the duet. You have to read them together to get the HEA, but I would highly recommend both books. They're really, really good. Very emotional. But basically, when they're both on tour, like in boot camp and they're deployed and stuff like that, he writes letters as his best friend to the girlfriend. So she starts falling in love with the guy, but she's falling in love with the wrong guy. So it's through letters and through his poetry and talking and stuff like that, that they have this connection, but she thinks it's actually her boyfriend, but it's really her boyfriend's best friend. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really messy, and I liked that aspect of it. It's a very unique book, very unique. I haven't really read that before. So for meeting through letters or like talking through letters, highly recommend this one. The next one I have is Marriage of Convenience. I'm going to do With You Forever by Chloe Lees, because I absolutely love Chloe Lees. This one is a marriage of convenience. She needs to get married to access her inheritance. He has to get married to do something. I read this quite a while ago, but I remember it being a marriage of convenience. They're forced together, they're forced proximity, they start living together. She has UC, uveitis. I can never say that. It's UC. That's the abbreviation for the inflammation disease that she has. Our main male character, I think he's neurodivergent. So I really like the representation of that one, but that's a marriage of convenience. The next one is Grumpy Sunshine, and I have Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is also a marriage of convenience technically, but this is Declan's story, and he's super, super grumpy, and he has a marriage of convenience with his secretary, and she is also very sunshiny. I mean, she's been around him for quite a bit, and I really like this one. Second book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. Highly recommend this one over the first book. They'll just say that. Okay, rapid fire. Here we go. We're going to keep going. Second Chance. The next book I have, again, The Magic. One of Lisa Kleypas classics. I absolutely love this one. I thought of Second Chance, and I thought, you know what? I haven't recommended this book in a while. This, you get two stories, but the main story is a second chance. He's some poor boy that works, in the house as like a servant boy for her family. They have a thing. Her dad basically goes to him, is like, I'm going to give you money to leave because she's going to fall in love with you and you're not worthy of her because you don't have money. So he goes away. He goes to the United States, makes something of himself, then comes back, and then it's their romance. And I love it. I love this book. I forgot how much I love that book. The next trope is Enemies to Lovers, and I have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Wow, this is more of a YA fantasy romance. It's not really YA, and it's not really adult fantasy. It's kind of like a blend of both. I would highly recommend it. They come from rival families. They hate each other, but they're forced to work together to kind of help this thing that's happening. It's like fantastical elements that's happening in their town, but it takes place in 1920s Shanghai. Very atmospheric. Absolutely loved it. I think Chloe Gong is an amazing writer, and that was her debut book, so highly recommend that one. The next trope I have is Fake Dating, and that's The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I will say this is a closed-door romance, but I thought it was actually really, really sweet. So even though it's closed door, I think a lot of people would enjoy it. I know some people expect romances to have open-door sex scenes. This one does not, but I liked it. She's a ballerina. Well, she teaches a ballerina class or owns her own dance studio. He is a NFL professional football player. They fake date for reasons, and I recently listened to the audio and I really enjoyed it. Okay, the next one, Small Town. I was gonna put Heartless by Elsie Silver, but I feel like everyone's read that book, okay? I'm gonna do In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. I read this at the beginning of the year, absolutely adored it, thought it was a fantastic book. There's basically a social media manager that comes to the Lovelight Farms where Beckett works, and it's super small town, meddling people. She stays for quite a while, thought it was so sweet. The quotes in this book is absolutely amazing. Love this book, would highly recommend. The next book I have is Forced Proximity, and I have Rush by Emma Scott. This is another book I recently read. This has a great disability representation. Our main male character, he's blind. Yeah, he was in an accident where he got like a concussion and it like completely shut off his eyesight. So he is extremely grumpy, but our female character is basically like hired to help him around his house, kind of be a secretary, kind of be his assistant, just like kind of being those things. And so she's like forced to be around him basically almost 24/7. So I love this book. By 50%, I was already crying. I loved that. Of course, the representation was amazing. Now, Friends to Lovers. I'm going to do Powerless by Elsie Silver. I have to put a Elsie Silver book on here. I'm going to do Powerless. I think that, Friends to Lovers is not everyone's favorite, but a lot of people put this as their favorite trope. It's also one of my favorite tropes, and I adored Powerless. It's also a road trip romance. Both of our characters are forced. Jasper and our female character, they're both forced together they're going to do things, but she's a runaway bride. Jasper helps her run away from a asshole fiance, and they kind of have their moment. They're friends to lovers. They've been friends since childhood, so I guess they could be childhood friends to lovers too, but really, really enjoyed that one. Now, Someone put beach slash lake house, and I could have done a lot of different books, but the one that I read recently where they actually meet in a lake house, like a lake, and they have like a really good time, that's Bittersweet Heart by Helena Hunting. This one is an age gap, but she's older, he's younger. She becomes a professor for the college in one of the classes that he's taking, so it's forbidden in that aspect. But they don't know who each other is when they meet at the beginning of the book. They both have a lake house. She's like floating around on a paddleboard. She fell asleep, and he's like, hello, do you need help? And she's sunburnt, and they have like, they go to a party around the lake house, and it was really, really cool. I think it's actually a good book for spring, especially summer, just because of that vibe, because they do meet during the summer. It's kind of like a summer love-in type thing. Highly recommend that one. The next trope I have is Hero Falls First. I'm going to say the hookup. I mean, Drew Baylor. I'm not going to talk about it. Love this one. He's also pining. He falls first. He knows that she is the girl for him. He's trying to like make her understand that and trying to like break down her walls. Love that one. Angsty. The next book I have, Magnolia Parks. This is one of the angstiest books I have ever read in my entire life. This whole series is super angsty, super messy, super forbidden. You have these two characters that have had a relationship. BJ cheated on her, and they just can't let go of each other, and it's messy and angsty, and I'm just gonna leave it at that one. The next trope is a bully romance. So I'm gonna do Wicked Night by Tracy Lorraine. This one was an interesting new adult kind of, they're in high school, they're 18. She is the daughter of the guy that supposedly killed his father. So he absolutely hates her, and he makes her life a living hell, and it is spicy, and it is great, and I really, really enjoyed that one. The next trope is Billionaire. You know what? I'm a billionaire whore. I love it, but I'm gonna do Fake Empire by C.W. Farnsworth. I feel like that's a very, very underrated billionaire romance, and both characters, the male and the female characters, are both billionaires. They were equals in every single way, and it was just the ultimate billionaire romance, and I loved it. There was money being thrown around, and angstiness and forbidden. There was just, money being thrown around, this and that. Adored it, absolutely loved it, highly, highly, highly recommend. The next trope is Mafia. I also love Mafia. The Mafia romance I have to share with you is Rouge by Greer Rivers. So this one is more like organized crime mafia, and it's very, very, very interesting. It actually takes a different turn than you're used to with Mafia romance, but I would highly recommend it because it is very different with a twist. He kidnaps her, makes her marry him. It's great. It's fantastic. So someone put romantic suspense. I don't always read romantic suspense, but I think that one that I read recently is Whispers of You by Catherine Cowles. I think that this one, while it is small town, I would more consider this a romantic suspense book. I really did enjoy it for being romantic suspense, which I usually don't read. I did enjoy it. Small town. It's second chance. They both have a past, and it was great, and I enjoyed it. The next trope I have is dark romance, and the one recommendation I have is actually a duet, and that's The Enslaved Duet by Gianna Darling. This is one of the darkest romances I've ever read. It's captor captive. There's a lot of things that happen, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think this duet is amazing. It's big, but I think it's definitely worth it. The next trope I have is enemies with benefits, and the one that I have for this one is Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. Well, Anna Huang does a lot of things very well. I think that Twisted Hate, it's more like they hate each other, but they're also like, they understand that they have this lust and tension with each other. And yeah, I would highly recommend this one if you're looking for that enemies to benefits and then to lovers. Like, they have just sex just because, and then they go to lovers. So yeah, I would highly recommend that one. The next trope is secret pregnancy, and I have Pretty Ugly Lies by C.W. Farnsworth. I think that this is a good secret pregnancy. She hides it. Well, she didn't really have a choice. She doesn't know where he is. He left her after, a 6-month kind of fling in college, but then you find out all the things that come out, and he is now head of a mafia family, so that's obviously the reason, but I enjoyed that one. The next one is Childhood Friends to Lovers. The book that I have is Reverse Pass by Maggie Rodden. So for this book, it's actually interesting because they're childhood friends, but she is his sister's best friend. So she's a little bit older. I think she's like 4 or 5 years older than him. And, they're forced together. He needs a roommate in college. She's in the master's program. She has an apartment off campus. So he kind of moves in. They're forced together. And I thought this one was really, really sweet and really enjoyed it. Someone put the trope Wrong Sibling. And I probably could do a lot of other books, but the one that I read more recently is The Choice by Ashley Jade. So the Wrong Sibling thing is because they're foster brothers. Like, they're not actually blood related, but they're both put in the foster system around the same time. They go from foster home to foster home together, so they're like brothers in that way, and they really think of each other as brothers. And our female character starts dating one of the brothers. This one does end on a cliffhanger. This second book is not out though, so I'll tell you that, but I really enjoyed this one. Someone said Curvy Heroine, which I've been reading a lot of Curvy Heroines recently, and one that I think was done really, really well is Break the Ice by L.A. Cotton. This is a hockey romance. And I think that our female character, because she's curvy, she's trying to get her self-confidence back. Her mother wanted her to be like a model. She's been through all of these things as a child, and I really liked the representation of her trying to figure things out, being away from her mom. Her mom like sends her a care package while she's in college because she starts rooming with her brother's like hockey team at the house until she has a room at the dorms. And her mom's like sends her diet pills and all of these brochures and stuff like that. So it is very prevalent, but I really, really enjoyed it. I love that like representation in here, and I love the romance. I thought it was really, really sweet as well. The audiobook is really, really good too. The next trope is Captor Captive, and I'm gonna go with Stolen Heir. I mean, this is the classic Stolen Heir by Sophie Lark. Rival families. He takes her because, well, he kidnaps her and keeps her captive. She's a ballerina. They fall in love. It's great. Love that one. I'm down to the last three. So someone said Reformed Playboy, and honestly, because I just adore this so much, I'm going to say Saving Six and Redeeming Six. This is Joey and Aoife's story. These are thick books by Chloe Walsh, but I'm going to continue recommending them until everyone reads them because these are some of my favorite books of all time, and Joey is a Reformed Playboy. I do have a Reformed Playboy rec video. I'll link that in the cards for you. Someone said hockey romance. Hockey romances are all the rave right now, which, I mean, a lot of people are enjoying hockey romances. I do have a hockey romance recommendations video I did, I think in March. I'll link that in the cards as well. But I'm going to say Iced Out by C. Ricky or Richie. I don't know how to say her name. I was saying Richie, but some people say Ricky. And now I'm like, I've probably been saying her name wrong. But this is an MM hockey romance. It's hate to love, and they're rivals, but then now they play on the same team in college. So it's very, very interesting dynamic. Hockey players, they are superstitious, and when they start sleeping together, they just so happen to win their first game. And now they're like, we need to continue doing this. So yeah. And the last one I have is Friends to Enemies to Lovers. And the only one I could think of is The Words by Ashley Jade. Phoenix and Lennon become friends in high school. And then when something happens, he betrays her and they become enemies. And she's like, I absolutely despise you. Years later, he is a rock star in a band and she is going on tour with him to kind of keep him in line. And that's when they become lovers, is on the tour. But they have to work out a lot of things. So of course I would recommend that one because I love The Words by Ashley Jade. It's one of my favorite books of last year. But those are 35 romance recommendations based on your favorite romance tropes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I am tired of talking. That was rapid fire, but I hope you enjoyed them. Drop me what kind of emoji? Drop me your favorite flower emoji because it's spring and it's April, even though it's freezing here today and I'm wearing a sweatshirt. But that's all I have for today's video. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.